Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. Today, carrying on with the destroyers and the ship guides. And yeah, hopefully you recorded today, because I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks next week, so I'm going to try and batch record and edit and get these all set up so I can have a relaxed, chilled holiday and not have to worry about YouTube for a couple of weeks. So, without further ado, we'll jump into... someone actually requested the Quaoar from the last video that I dropped, so we'll do the Quaoar. So the Quaoar, and I believe that is how it's supposedly pronounced, although not 100%. It was ages ago when this thing came out, and someone corrected me on that video to say it's the Quaoar. But yeah, it's a decent ship. It's in a pretty good spot, to be honest. It's well balanced out of most of the destroyers. It's got huge amounts of damage potential, and it doesn't sit on the front row like the Eris. It does sort of run that same sort of build where you run with the Eris on the integrated railgun system anyway. And I believe I personally prefer the Eris over this. This potentially has the better damage potential because it's not on the front row, so it can get its damage out and usually sort of survive a bit longer than the Eris's can. But I like that off tank that the Eris has with its, increased dodge rate and all of that good stuff, allowing it to sort of deal damage as well as tanking that front row for you in hybrid fleets or destroyer swarm fleets. And that's where I think the Eris sort of just edges out above the Quaoar, because otherwise the damage is sort of similar outputs and that kind of thing. But like I said, this potentially could get more, because if your front row stays alive and nothing's hitting the mid row where the Quaoar sits, it could potentially get more damage out. That being said, it is a mid-row ship, so missiles are going to be coming its way fairly quickly. It has no sort of innate dodge rate or anything like the Eris does, so you do really badly want to get into this armor system and pick up the 2 ship HP modules first. These will, keep it alive if it is getting priority targeted by any indirect fire weapons. You can ignore the physical resistance and come back to these later on. After you get the 2 HP mods, go into the integrated railgun system, and this is where it's just going to show you like the kind of damage potential this thing can really get up to. In my opinion, the 2 hit rates are an absolute requirement on this. It is a railgun system, which means it's got poor accuracy, even if it is on a destroyer, so it's a small ship. And you do have 6 slots to play with here, albeit 5 of them are pretty much taken every single time. I'd go for the double hit rate, double cooldown, and then come round at the end or even before the double cooldown. So if you go double hit rate, go into the full firepower straight after that, and that's when you'll pick up the double cooldown after that. I wouldn't pick up concentrate fire on this personally. Pick up one of the railguns as the last slot. This is where its damage really comes from though. Reduces aiming time to increase firing speed, reduces cooldown by 8% and hit rate by 3%. You can pick that up 5 times. So you can imagine it's got a pretty ridiculous cooldown, but you are reducing your hit rate. However, with the upgrade here for system adjustment, that will allow you to reduce the hit rate debuff down to, I think it's like -2% or 2% hit rate debuff or something of that nature. And it just makes this a very, very efficient damage dealer in that instance, and it will absolutely, if left unchecked, completely dismantle enemy fleets, same as the Eris heavy cannon can. And yeah, 450 damage per hit, 16 second on the cooldown. Once you've got 40% cooldown reduction, and then a further 15% cooldown reduction, so another 30% cooldown reduction, you get into the kind of ridiculous numbers of damage output that this can bring, which is really, really nice. So yeah, definitely check that out. After the armor system, as you can see, there isn't really much going on here, which is quite nice. Go into the propulsion system or finish off the armor with the extra 2 armor you can get. It won't be 2, it'll be an extra 10 armor. And then, same as before, really, here. Double warp speed is what I've been going for with a single cruise speed, but you can definitely go double cruise speed with a single warp speed to give you that initial acceleration bonus when just manually moving. I'm running the warp speed because I still like to warp around using scouts, and having the increased warp speed just lets things get into place a little bit quicker. Next up, you got the torpedo type, the Quaoar. This is a great little ship as well. This one I find genuinely outdamages the railgun version, and it's mostly just due to the fact that it's basically like a mini Callisto at the end of the day. But again, go into the HP mods, grab both of those because it will help, keep it around a little bit before going into its main weapon system. And this is where it really starts to shine. So we have a look at the cluster torpedo system, and this is why it does so well. You got 1 times 8 attacks per round. 32-second cooldown does suck a little bit for it, but the lock-on time's completely reasonable and duration's okay, with 350 damage per hit. So you can imagine that it does reasonably well. And then when you actually get into it and you go, when the target is a cruiser, increase the damage by 60% and the attack duration by 30%. That's really good at that point. Double cooldown on it. You got interception reduction here as well. Lock-on efficiency, I would completely ignore on this. Yeah, I've got a hit rate against cruisers and higher. It isn't necessary to generally pick this hit rate up, and that's due to the fact that torpedoes are pretty accurate systems, and you generally want this targeting those cruisers. However, if it's earlier on in the game and you're still seeing a lot of Frig Desi, the hit rate doesn't even do anything there anyway. So it kind of, bit of a redundant one. The only real case for picking this up is if you start seeing a lot of IO. And that's due to the fact that IO's evasion's pretty decent. If you start seeing IO type B, definitely pick up the hit rate against cruisers there. And that's due to the fact that the IO Type B's upgrade on the weapon system also increases its dodge rate, and it actually becomes quite nasty. I think it's around 60% dodge rate with that upgraded when it's just shooting stuff, and it's a pretty nasty ship in the current meta. So if you are picking up the hit rate, do pick it up first, then go double cooldown. I really like crit builds on here, so go for the reactive explosive warhead and the explosive ammo enhancement. And that gives you 5 slots. You've got 2 left to go for the double damage, or if you are seeing a lot of cruisers, do pick up the heavy ammo at that point. If in the case that you are mostly fighting frigates, double cooldown, double damage, double warheads, and I would probably pick up or consider picking up the intercept here, because there is a bit of intercept within the destroyer lineups that we do see nowadays, so it is kind of worth grabbing there. But again, you could also drop that and pick up the heavy ammo if you do start seeing cruisers popping up. So yeah, it's got sort of 2 little builds there to work with. Again, same as the railgun, you can go into the armor system now, pick up that final physical resistances. Again, it'll give you, it's 8 physical resistance. I said 10 earlier, but never mind. And then propulsion, same as before. Double warp speed and cruiser speed is what I like to go for. However, if you do move around without warping too often, double cruise speed and the warp speed will also work out quite nicely. So yeah, it's a good little ship. Both versions are very, very viable. I've seen them run in fleets. I've seen both variants run in the same fleet. A quite nasty one I've seen recently was Eris Heavy Cannon, Railgun Quaoar, Torpedo Quaoar, and these are all V2s, so like maxed out this ship twice, which is pretty impressive. I think Taurus Assault and Taurus A's on the front row as well. So I'd like this really nasty like double Taurus Eris tank, which is a lot of damage potential output, and then Railgun Torps Quaoars, which is even more damage potential and output. And then it was backed up with a couple of Noma support for healing, and I can't remember what else is in it now. I don't have the battle report, which is a bit unfortunate. But it was basically just going, I'm going to take all the highest potential damage ships in the destroyer lineup, put them into one fleet, see how they do. And then, as you can imagine, a little bit on the squidgy side, but god damn, the damage output was more than impressive. So yeah, lots of uses, the Quaoar. It fits in most fleets. Later on, if you want, you can run this within Swarm Destroyer fleet. It fits quite well in Hybrid fleet as well. If you've got a little bit of CP left over, you can run some Quaoar Torps or Railguns in there. It's just a versatile ship. It fits in everything. Even, tertiary base defense fleets or something like that, where you have something set up in the mining outpost to defend it. Quaoars fit nice in there if you're running, all your heavy cruisers and stuff in your main fleet and your second fleet. So, yeah, definitely not one to sleep on. Definitely one to have a bit of a go at. It's quite a cool looking ship as well, which is quite nice. Adds. And yeah. So, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.